I get asked all the time, what is the difference between the planets in astrology, the houses in astrology, and the zodiac signs in astrology? So let's get into it. We are recording this video with Pierre by our side because we need support. Okay, I don't really get much of a seat when Pierre's here. Let's start with basic differences between the three. So when we look at a birth chart, it is split up into 12 different pie slices. Each slice represents a different area of your life. It's similar to a life wheel. I've talked about this in some previous videos that I've had, but I'll put a life wheel up here. If you have worked with a life coach, life coaches will get an idea of where you're at in your life and how you behave in each area of your life, because how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And they'll rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 and be like, how confident do you feel in this area of your life? Rate it 1 to 10, and then you'll rate it and they'll get some sort of pattern or theme. Your birth chart is split up the same way. It's split up into 12 different areas of your life, and each area of your birth chart has a different energy to it. It has a different personality to it based on your rising sign. If you haven't watched my sun sign versus your rising sign video, I'll link that episode in the show notes below so you can watch that too. But basically, the way the house system is set up is the first house is your identity and it's your rising sign. And then we go down to the second pie slice, which is your self-worth and your money. We go down to the third pie slice. That's how you think and communicate. The fourth pie slice is your home and family. Your fifth pie slice is your children, your inner child, your joy, your creativity, your romance, your dating, your fun sex, your self-expression. Your sixth house comes after that. It's your daily routines, your work, your health, the day-to-day things that you need to do to move the needle forward. It can also represent service animals and pets, because if we think about if you have a farm, those animals are part of your day-to-day. And then after the sixth house, we have the seventh house. So we're going around the circle. We just went from the first house all the way over to the seventh house. The seventh house is opposite the first house. The first house, remember, represents your identity. The seventh house represents other people in your life. You typically attract the opposite energy because the sixth house is always going to be ruled by the opposite zodiac sign. We'll get into zodiac signs in a second. But the seventh house is going to be ruled by the opposite zodiac sign of your ascendant, your rising sign, aka your first house. Again, I talked about that in the rising sign video versus your sun sign video. Go check that out. So seventh house is our one-to-one relationships. It's our marriage partners. It's our business partners. It is our contracts, and it is our open enemies, because typically if we are together with someone and we are no longer together with them, they could potentially be an open enemy. Pierre, what kind of enemies do you have, buddy? Pierre says, people be jealous because I just get to sleep all day and live my best life. Yes, people do be jealous, Pierre. So after the seventh house is the eighth house, because when we go from our one-to-one relationships and we get married, we go into the house of intimacy. That's the eighth house. Now we're intimate. Now we're sharing resources. It's the house of shared resources. It's the house of codependency. It is the house of power and control. It is the house of transformation and investments and wide swings in your investments. It's all about you being in the worst debt, and it's also you inheriting billions of dollars or winning the lottery or something like that. So eighth house is shared resources, how we grow our resources together, combine resources in order to come into power. Then we go into the ninth house, we're going to the top of the circle. That is your belief system, your spirituality, your religion. It's also long distance travel and publishing and higher learning and teaching. Then we go into the 10th house. That is your career. That is your legacy. It's your reputation. It's your relationship to being an authority and to authority figures and how you're seen as an authority. It is your reputation in the public eye. Then we go to the 11th house. That is your hopes and dreams. It is your acquaintances and your friends and groups and networks that support you and humanitarian causes that you support. It is futuristic inventions. It's out of the box ideas. It's wanting to move humanity forward. That's why it's the house of our hopes and dreams. So obviously we have hopes and dreams after our career and legacy. That comes after it. Once we have a stabilized career and legacy, then we build off of it with humanitarian causes and we go after our hopes and dreams. And then after the 11th house, we finish off the houses in the 12th house, which is our subconscious. And then it goes into the first house again, and we go around the circle, because it's a circle. So it goes around like this. But the 12th house is your subconscious. It is self-sabotaging behavior. It is where you are spiritual. It's where you're connected to the unseen realms, and you're connected to energy, and it's energy work, and it's psychicness. It's where our psychic connections are made. So I just described 12 different aspects of our life: relationships, home and family and parents, how you think and communicate, how you have fun, so that's the house system. The house system just splits up the chart. So when we look at a chart, we can be like, oh, that planet is in that area of life or in that house. So if you have your sun sign, your sun planet, we all know our sun sign, it's the day you were born. People are like, oh, I was born in February, I'm an Aquarius. Oh, I was born in December, I'm a Sagittarius. So you likely know your sun sign, at least if you've gotten this far. You don't know what your sun sign is, and you're watching this astrology video, I don't know how you got here. Have you heard of astrology? Anyways, so if your sun sign is in the 4th house, then your sun, your core identity, we'll talk about planets in a second. The sun is your core identity. It is your purpose. It is your life force energy. It's a part of you. Each planet is a part of you. You know how we have different parts of us, and they can even be in conflict, and we're like, yeah, I know, one part of me wants to go out. Another part of me wants to stay home. Well, we could probably look at your birth chart and see oppositions in your birth chart where a part of you likes to go out and a part of you likes to stay home. Those are your planets. They represent different parts of you. There is the life force energy, success, authority part of you, the part of you that's meant to lead. There is the emotional part of you, the part of you that has emotions and feelings, and you view your life through the subjective view of reality based on how things make you feel. Not all things make everyone feel the same way. Two people could be in the same room, but they could see different things. Why is that? It's because they could have completely different moon signs. Their moon is connected to their intuition, their emotions, and their subjective view of reality. So that's another part of them. They could have a Pisces moon and like to be alone and have a lot of space in their life and need to clear out other people's energy. But then they could also have a Leo sun and want to be the life of the party all the time. And so they have to go back and forth between needing to clear out their energy because they're so sensitive and wanting to be the life of the party. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's different parts of us. Pluto is the part of you that goes through death and rebirth and has fears, and it's your trauma, and it's where you want to control. There's a part of you that wants to be in control. I have a one-on-one client, and one of the gifts that we know that he has is he has this gift of detachment. And he even came and started working with me and said, yeah, the gene key said, I have this gift of detachment. But he also felt blocked in his life. So if he has this gift of detachment and he feels blocked in his life, clearly he's attached to something because he's staying stuck in the same place. He's at least attached to being stuck. So we looked at his birth chart, and yes, he definitely has a gift of detachment, but he also has a Scorpio moon conjunct his Pluto, conjunct Lilith. And remember, I just said Pluto is about our deepest traumas, our psychological fears. It's where we want to hold on to control, and it's with his moon, the part of him that has a subjective view of reality. So the moon is also what makes us feel emotionally safe and secure. So yes, he has a part of him, a big part of him, that is really good at detaching. But he also has a part of him that holds on to control out of fears. And he also has a part of him that's loyal to a fault, that's almost codependent. And so he had one part of his chart, his north node was in Aquarius. He is here to be detached and learn detachment. His Mars was also in Aquarius. That's also about being detached. But his moon was in Scorpio, which is about being in control. So you might be getting, or I'm talking about some of the zodiac signs. The zodiac signs are just personalities. It's like each part of your psychology, each part of you has a different personality. The part of you that feels really intensely and is connected to your emotional needs, just like this client I was talking about, his moon was in Scorpio. But then you might meet someone else, some friend, or maybe you get into a relationship with someone and their moon maybe is in Gemini and can entertain itself and likes to have a lot of fun, and it's always wanting to know the facts, and it's wanting to stay open-minded to things. And so you could have two people in the same room but have two different moon signs, and they could be watching or listening to the same conversation and have different reactions. Why? Because their moon, their emotions, their subjective view of reality, because that's how the moon works. It flavors our subjective view of reality based on how we feel, the personality of how we feel. The Gemini moon person could be listening to a conversation and be like, wow, that's so fascinating. I'm so curious. I want to know more, because Gemini is a very curious sign, and that's that person's moon's personality. Whereas the Scorpio moon person could be getting triggered off of what this person is saying and being like, F this, I don't want to listen to this person anymore, or they're wrong, or I need to tell them they're wrong, or they're triggering me. These two people are watching the same conversation, but because their moon is feeling and reacting to what these people are saying, they're reacting in different ways because their moons are ruled by two different zodiac signs. They have two different personalities. So now we're on to zodiac signs, I suppose, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper into everything. But zodiac signs are just personalities. So when you hear that someone has an Aries sun sign, or a Virgo sun sign, or a Cancer sun sign, that means that the part of them that is the sun, the part of them that gets life force energy, that is an authority, that wants to create, has the personality of Aries. And so they want to create in an Aries way. Aries things gives them life force energy. Being more impulsive gives them life force energy. You know, being on the move and asserting their willpower gives them life force energy. Being aggressive gives them life force energy. Moving their body gives them life force energy. Whereas if then we looked at the Virgo sun person, what gives a Virgo sun life force energy? Well, more Virgo things, because that's that personality for that sun. So routine is going to give that person life force energy. Being organized, editing things, mastering things is going to give that person life force energy. Okay, so we're understanding that each planet represents a different part of you. Each zodiac sign puts a personality on that part and tells that part how to behave and act, and the energy in which that part should filter what it wants to do through. So I'll use one more planet as an example. Mars is the planet of how we act and assert ourselves, and it's our passion and our willpower, and it's our sex drive and our motivation. And that's what it represents in your birth chart. If you have Mars in your birth chart in Cancer, then the way in which the part of you that has willpower, the part of you that is motivated to take action, the part of you that gets aggressive for good or for bad, in a good way or in an abusive way, in a blow-up way, the part of you that acts impulsively and can get into accidents because you're moving too fast, is ruled by a certain zodiac sign. So Mars and Cancer in your birth chart would make you a person who takes action from their emotions. You could take action passive aggressively. You know, Mars is also the part of us that can start fights. If you have your Mars in Cancer, Cancer is a very emotive, passive aggressive sign. You might start fights in a passive aggressive way. That's how you do your Mars energy. Mars is also how we assert ourselves and wield our life force energy. You could really want to wield your life force energy at home. Maybe you like to create a sanctuary. Maybe that's what motivates you, is to be able to have the most comfy sanctuary. Maybe you're a person who just has so much energy and willpower to make your house look like a spa. Also, Cancer is about family. With your Mars in Cancer, you could be very passionate about your family as much as you could start a lot of arguments with your family. Maybe that's who you tend to argue with the most, is people at home and people in your family. So I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, that we have different parts of us. We have the part of us that wants to fight, or that the part of us that uses our willpower and is magnetized to things. There's the part of us that has emotions and creates a certain subjective view of our reality. If we look at Venus, there's a part of us that has a certain love language. Venus is our love language. What's my love language? It's whatever zodiac sign you have Venus in is your love language. It's where you gain pleasure. It's the type of relationships you like to have. It's how you go about making money, because it's the things that you value. You know, our love language is also the things that we value. If your Venus is in Taurus, you could value material things. You could value high quality items. You could value spending more money on something that's high quality, that's going to last longer. You could value people who are very practical and down to earth and grounded. Your love language is Taurus themes. You probably like nature and being outside and connecting with the earth and eating whole foods. You might not like to eat a bunch of fast food if your Venus is in Taurus. Maybe you do and you feel like crap, but if you then find out that your Venus is in Taurus and you're eating fast food and you're wondering why you feel like crap, well, connect with your Venus. Your body probably wants some more high quality foods, So I hope this is all making sense, that you have these different parts of you, and each part of you has a different personality and flavor to it. And your Venus has a different personality than someone else's Venus. You don't have the same Venus as everyone else in the world. And that is why you value different things than different people. Okay, so now how does the planets in the zodiac signs fit into the houses and the areas of your life? This is where it takes it a step further. We talked about in the beginning of this video how we have the first house, and it goes all the way to the 12th house, and each pie slice represents a different area of your life, and your rising sign is what sets that up. So if your rising sign is Aries, the next zodiac sign is Taurus. It always goes in the same zodiacal order. The zodiac signs go in order, in a 12-step order. It starts with Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and they always go in that order. So if your rising sign is Aries and that rules the first house, your rising sign always rules the first house, and then your rising sign determines what personality each other area of your life has. So if you have an Aries rising, Aries rules your identity. You see yourself as an Aries. You look like the sign of Aries. But then after Aries is Taurus. So because we're going around and we're putting a personality on each area of your life now, after the identity, we had your values, your money, your income, your self-worth. So then Taurus would rule your values, income, money, and self-worth. You would go about your income and values in a Taurus way. And then after Taurus is Gemini, and after the second house is the third house, so then Gemini would rule the third house, and so on. So you don't only have these different parts of you that are filtered through certain personalities, because that's the zodiac signs. Zodiac signs are always personalities. You also have houses, different areas of your life that have a certain personality and flavor to it. So, we talked about the fourth house, for example. The fourth house was your home and family and parents and ancestry and upbringing. That's not a planet, because that's not a part of you. That was just a part of your life. The houses are a part of your life. The planets are a part of you. And when they move around in the sky, it's different parts of you moving around in the sky. So we have a zodiac sign ruling each area of your life. If you have Leo rule your fourth house, your parents might have been more Leo-like. Your upbringing might have been more Leo-like, Maybe in your upbringing, your parents were very generous and they always wanted everyone to have a good time, and they were the parents who had the parties all the time and were like, everyone come over, let's party. Leo could also be a sign that's very ego-based and wants to look good. So if you had Leo ruling your 4th house, you could have had parents that always wanted people to see that you looked good and put on a good face, and they wanted to be validated, and they were very ego front, and they're like, I'm the king, queen. Everyone has to see us this way. You have to go out and tell everyone we are kings. You are a king. Maybe you grew up in a household like that. And if you have Leo on your 4th house, then you typically are a Taurus rising. And it's always that way. Because remember, your rising sign then sets up what zodiac sign rules each area of your life. So all Taurus risings have Leo ruling the 4th house. It's your rising sign sets up your life path because it sets up what zodiac sign rules each area of your life and the energy in each area of your life. So now that we have that in order, you understand that you have 12 areas of your life. Each area of your life has a different flavor to it. Your one-to-one relationships have a certain flavor to them. Your family has a certain flavor to them. Whereas your friend, who might have a different rising sign, has a different flavor to their one-to-one relationships. They have a different flavor to their upbringing in their family. Okay, so how do the planets now fit into these houses? So based on what zodiac signs the planets were in when you were born determined what house they were in. So we just gave the example of a Taurus rising. If you are a Taurus rising and you have Leo ruling your 4th house, and let's say you were born during Leo season, so your sun sign is in Leo, then the sun, the planet the sun, at the time you were born as a Taurus rising, at time, because the time determines your rising sign, was in Leo. And so because Leo rules your 4th house, your sun is in your 4th house. And that is where you will see it on the chart. You will see the sun, the little circle at the bottom where the number 4 is with the sign of Leo. So what does it then mean if your sun in Leo is in the 4th house? Okay, so the sun actually is ruled by Leo, so the sun loves to be in Leo. The sun, that's about life force energy and being seen and your leadership and authority. When you have it in Leo, you naturally want to be seen because the sign of Leo wants to be seen, the sun wants to be seen. And in the 4th house means that where you gain your most life force energy, because remember the sun is your life force energy, is in your family, the 4th house. You likely are a person who gains a lot of authority in your family. You're very attached to your family. They're the center of your world, very likely, if you have the sun in the 4th house, because the sun is the center of the solar system. It's the center of everything. It's where you shine. It's where you want to be seen. It's the ego. I had a friend growing up. She had her sun in the 4th house. She had a bunch of other planets in the 4th house. She was so close to her family. Gosh, was she close to her family. I felt like her family were her best friends. They were the only constant friends I'd hear in her life that she was constantly talking about. And when she'd have issues in her family, she'd feel really depressed and sad. You know, when we have issues with our sun, when our sun's not thriving, we can feel more depressed and sad because if you don't have life force, warm energy, and joy, what's the opposite of that? When you're not doing your sun right, you feel more sad. So do you see that? Like depending on what zodiac sign the planets were in when you were born determined what house they went into. Because if you were a Taurus rising, so then Scorpio rules your 7th house because Taurus rules the 1st house and the opposite sign of Taurus is Scorpio. Remember, we go in zodiacal order. And let's say you have your Saturn in Scorpio. Saturn is where we have blocks because we want to master wherever Saturn is over the course of our life. And those blocks have us learn lessons so that we can master that area of our life. Whatever house Saturn is in, it's where we're meant to build something for the long term and learn a lot of lessons and gain a lot of solid ground in that area of our life. So the 7th house, remember, is the house of our one-to-one relations and marriage partners and business partners. And if you're a Taurus rising, and Scorpio rules the 7th house because 12 zodiac signs, 7 is the middle. Scorpio is opposite Taurus. And you have Saturn in Scorpio at the time you were born, then Saturn would be in your 7th house of one-to-one relationships. Saturn in Scorpio is here to learn forgiveness It's here to learn to let go of control. It's here to understand how to work with its power. And it can cause blocks with working with its power because it can be really hard on itself, and it can want to transform and take transformation so seriously that it almost like controls the transformation and then blocks the transformation. That's how Saturn and Scorpio could work, right? Because that's what Saturn does, is it blocks us because we take things too seriously or are too critical of something or whatever. So that's the personality of that person's Saturn. But if it's in the 7th house, those blocks and those power struggles and that transformation that's trying to happen is with that person's one-to-one relationships. So they likely attract in scorpionic type people, because Scorpio's on the 7th house, people who are very intense, people who could be codependent, people who, they have power struggles with, because Scorpio is about power struggles. But with Saturn in the 7th house is one-to-one relationships, remember, they will have roadblocks in their one-to-one relationships. And as they learn their Saturn lessons within one-to-one relationships, they're also here to have relationships that stand the test of time, relationships that last a long time. So that's one manifestation of Saturn in the 7th house, because Saturn creates things that last. But also Saturn is about age differences. So if people have Saturn in the 7th house of one-to-one relationships and Saturn's about age differences, you could get into a relationship with people or attract people into your life who have a big age difference from you, who are like 10 years older than you or something, or 18 years older than you. I hope you're getting that example. I'll give one more planet example, because remember, Saturn's just a part of us. Your sun is just a part of you. Let's use Mercury, for example. We haven't talked about Mercury yet. So Mercury is a different part of you. Mercury is the part of you that thinks, it's how you communicate, it's how you learn. It's the part of you that talks. It's the part of you that networks. It's the part of you that is connected to your siblings. It's the part of you that wants to know facts, that wants to know the how, right? It wants to be very logical and realistic and practical and know the actual facts. It wants to know how. So that's Mercury, right? If you have Mercury in Scorpio, for example, then the way you want to know facts and you want to know how and you think about things is very Scorpionic. So Scorpio is a sign that likes to investigate, and it likes to go deep, and it likes to get to the bottom of things. Scorpio is also a very obsessive sign. So when you want to learn something or know something, you're probably going to go deep. You're probably going to leave no stone left unturned, and you're going to learn all that you can about something. Scorpio is also a sign that can be skeptical. So you also might be skeptical and not take things at face value and sense if things are off and then want to dig deeper into it. Now, this is not to be confused with the fact that, for example, the 3rd house in astrology represents the area of our life that's learning and thinking and communicating, right? So let's say you have Mercury and Scorpio in the 7th house. We'll go back to this Taurus rising example. Then the way you think and like to dig deeper is in your one-to-one relationships. You're probably a person who wants to put yourself in other people's shoes, who's thinking about other people, or you're thinking about how to create balance and harmony with other people, how to make sure that it's a good relationship. Scorpio can be a very controlling sign. Maybe the way you think about your relationships is that you own them. Scorpio likes to possess and own people. And Mercury is how you think. You could be a person who's very relationship focused and very focused on your partners in your life. And you like to dig deep into other people. You could be a really good psychologist, because you could be a person who's really good at thinking about other people and digging deep into their mind and their psychology, because Scorpio is about psychology. But then let's say you're that Taurus rising, right? So I talked about how there's different houses. There's also a house that's the 3rd house. That's how you think and communicate. If you're a Taurus rising, the sign that rules your 3rd house is Cancer, because Gemini comes after Taurus, so it ruled the 2nd house. And then after Gemini is Cancer, so it ruled the 3rd house. So Cancer rules your 3rd house. That means that the area of your life that rules your siblings and your local community and how you think and communicate is Cancer. So you could be very intuitive and be very psychic and be very private with how you think. Cancer is a very private sign. So if Cancer is ruling your third house, you might not just share what you think with everyone. You could just share what you think with your close family or the people who feel like family to you. When you create content, you know, Cancer is also connected to our emotions in our heart. You could really create content from your heart. You know, the third house is writing and how we go about learning. And Cancer is our ancestry and our family. Maybe you like to learn a lot about your ancestry and your family, right? But then also you had your Mercury, which is the part of you that thinks and communicates and learns, in Scorpio. So you could be a person who the flavor in which you like to learn is your ancestry and your family, and you want to get all your family's lineage, let's say. But the way you think and communicate is in Scorpio. You think about other people. So you could be a person that likes to learn about your family's history, and then you go really deep because your Mercury is in Scorpio. And you're learning everything about each ancestor and getting deep into their psychology and making this huge family tree. Like, if you had Cancer ruling your third house, and let's say you are really into learning about your family and ancestry, but you had your Mercury in Sagittarius, you could just find it fun to learn about each person in your family and not go super deep. Do you see the difference? Because Sagittarius is more, I want more, I want to learn this, and I want to make meaning out of that, and I don't want to just go too deep into one thing. I want to keep everything surface level and keep the vibes high and dream and this and that. And so if you had Cancer ruling your third house, but you're a Sagittarius Mercury, you could just be like, oh, I learned about this person, now I learn about this person, now I learn about this person, and I want to learn more and more and more. Versus if your Mercury was in Scorpio, you could go really deep and spend a really long time into one person before you move on to the next person. So I hope that makes sense. It gets complicated. It gets super specific. And that is why astrology is so cool, because it's so freaking specific. So the planets are not to be confused with the houses and not to be confused with the zodiac signs, because the planets are different parts of you. The zodiac signs are different personalities. And then the houses are different areas of your life that are flavored by different personalities, just like the different parts of you are flavored by different personalities. And all the personalities are always a zodiac sign. Okay. I hope you liked this video. If you made it to the end, drop a green heart. I want to know if you made it to the end. Let me know what the biggest aha was for you in this video as well. I'd love to know that. And make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like bell so you stay up to date on more videos. If you want to book a reading with me, I will put the link in the show notes below. If you want to join my free Activate Your Joy challenge, it is 7 days of videos where I teach you how to manifest and activate your joy using your birth chart and self-concept work, because I'm about empowering yourself to use the astrology to change your life, not expecting the astrology to change your life for you, because it doesn't work that way. You are the empowered one in your life. So I love you and have the best day. Mwah!